We look at your system as a national
The only way I see it would be to systematically attack the
Just
asset.
cultivate that clean image. Because your mythology is your best
When we're
asset.
finished with Daniels, send the asset after her. When we're finished with Daniels, send the asset after her.
Sir, the asset is deviating off
Block all
course.
the exits. Give the asset a green
The
light.
asset, subject location, and the route between the subject's hotel and
And the
the bank.
decision has been made to unwind a considerable portion of the firm's holdings in several key asset classes.
In fact, here, speaking French is actually a
Kind
necessity.
of a unique asset that no government would ever admit to.
Remains still a valued, vital asset to this
I'm out here hoping to fit in with you good people and be an asset to
They're holding up a bank transfer made to keep them in place while they bring an asset up from Casablanca.
30 seconds to exit and surrender control of the asset, or we will enter the building by force.
I don't know why someone would miss their own father's funeral, but show up to sell off his only
Contact the asset and tell him I want him on the ground in London in 6 hours.
Single most exotic intelligence asset on the planet is ours.
It's not surprising that we have these asset bubbles, but when reality sets in, of course, they...
Well, because, she'd be an essential, integral asset, for our team, for us to,
We
utilize.
planned to open in May, but asset containment insisted we build the walls up high.
We've unveiled a new asset. Attendance has spiked.
Yeah, we think he might know something or have an asset.
She's a good asset to this group. And would I say she's ready to be a youth pastor on her own?
Greatest asset this institution has. One of the greatest it has ever.
And of course, the real asset. Sole ownership of Blood Like Wine, his publishing company.
I'm a negative asset manager.
When he arrives, let me set the tone, and then I'll flip it to you, and you can talk about asset protection.
Our fleet must support and protect your most important.
Meanwhile, he realizes the only reason he was over there in the first place was so that we could install a government that would sell us oil.
Government reserves the right to punish any persons who committed a crime before this agreement.
They would have been glad to have you dead, for they thought they could then blame it all on the government.
Placed in the custody of the FBI, where you'd serve out the remainder of your sentence as an employee of the federal
United States government champ, running for the
I
hills.
suppose you've given some thought to the notion that if you lose, our government will have directly financed terrorism.
Only persuaded the government of the need for his program.
3 million investigating 7 deaths from Tylenol.
Accusing the government of the United States of a conspiracy to murder all gay men.
Operate at will, with the full support.
How many times has Hunt's government betrayed him, disavowed him, cast him
Regardless
aside?
of what the federal government says, regardless of what Supreme Court says, our law is the law.
One day the government is going to realize how lucky they were to have Professor X on their
Not
side.
just in banking, but in government, education, religion, food, even baseball.
My father works for the government, and sometimes his mail gets stolen. It's sort of for the government, and I'm not supposed to discuss
The decision as to whether the government will or will not indict and prosecute Detective Daniel Cello is the responsibility of this office.
For some months, a prime government witness is from the ranks of the police department.
I represent a legal arm of the government of the United States of America, and I cannot allow that to happen.
Making it impossible for the government to reach a settlement with the Nazis.